Now, Governor Rick Scott had been trying to drug test welfare recipients. It was one of those things that he considered a policy priority. Let's make sure those welfare bums aren't doing drugs on our dime. Now, this was challenged, of course, constitutionally, and it lost a challenge. And so Rick Scott has decided to stop pursuing it. Finally, he said, all right, no mas, I give up. I'm going to stop trying to drug test poor people. Great. Now, this is according to the AP. This, of course, law was ruled unconstitutional by two different federal courts. According to the ACLU Union Florida Executive Director Howard Simon, that means that since he will no longer go after these laws, he will not appeal those two other court rulings, this law is essentially struck down. After nearly 4 years of litigation, this ugly attack on poor Floridians has finally come to an end. This law was always about scoring political points on the backs of Florida's poor and treating them like suspected criminals without suspicion or evidence. Now, if you remember, U.S. District Judge Mary Scriven in Orlando had originally declared the law requiring urine tests, of course, for the applicants to be unconstitutional search and seizure. And that was, of course, upheld by the 11th Circuit District Court of Appeals. Scriven and the appeal judges found no evidence of a pervasive drug problem among Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program applicants. That's because people on welfare do not do drugs at a higher percentage than regular people, people who are not on these. And I shouldn't even say regular people, right? Because people are people, right? But the people who are not on, that don't need assistance, the people on assistance don't do drugs at a higher level than they do. They actually do it at a lower level. It's statistically insignificant. They're right. It is a way. The ACLU of Florida is absolutely right. This is an attack on the poor. It always has been about attacking the poor. It's always about, look over there. Those poor people are stealing your money while I'm actually pocketing it. Remember, Rick Scott has been accused of Medicare fraud, the biggest Medicare fraud in Florida history, perhaps even United States history. If anybody's a fraud, if anybody's pocketing taxpayer money, it's Rick Scott. He's such a corrupt son of a bitch. Let me tell you what. Some people will defend these programs. Oh, we have to get a drug test at work. You're not working for the government. The government has no right to search and seize your property. That is you. And your body is considered yours. There is absolutely no reason, unless you have suspicion. But they've made the suspicion, they've made being poor suspicion. Reason for suspicion. You're poor. Obviously, you did something wrong. Or else you wouldn't be poor. You must be lazy. You must be doing drugs. That's the assumption here. That's the assumption. They literally come out and say it. With actions like these, they say the poor, no, you're all druggies. You must be doing something wrong. You're lazy. That's why you can't find a job, because you're on drugs. It's absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. They're right to strike this law down. Not only does it do that to the poor, right? Not only does it demonize the poor, but it also invades their personal space. Why? Because they get a little bit behind. Something happens, and they lose their money. They lose their home. They lose their job. They run across some bad luck. And that's good enough for you to call them to insinuate that they are all on drugs. That they are somehow less than you. It's ridiculous. It's just, it's callous. It's definitely an attack on the poor. And they're attacking the weakest people. The people that can't defend themselves. That's who they attack the most. Fucking Republicans, conservatives like Rick Scott. Yeah, fuck them guys.